I'm in Seoul, South Korea right now with a feast in front of me. The thing is, most of these dishes are actually free. This is a common sight you'll see in just about every Korean restaurant. A varying number of small dishes set in the middle of the table. Sometimes it's kimchi, sometimes it's local vegetables, sometimes it's meat. And not only are they free, just about almost every plate in front of me is refillable with no extra cost. And this is a part of Korean cuisine that I love. It's called banchan. It's a quintessential part of the dining experience in Korea. And I would argue it's a feature that makes the cuisine of this country so unique. Most people see banchan as merely side dishes that are served on the house. And while that's not entirely wrong, it does give a false impression of this tradition that's been around for centuries. One that's tied to the history, religion, and culture that now defines modern Korea. So, believe it or not, this place is conveyor belt banchan. This stall serves entirely banchan. Most restaurants don't prepare or serve banchan the same way. They all have their own interpretation or approach. So today, I want to show you the world behind this overlooked part of Korean food, where it comes from, why it's everywhere today, and why it's so important for Korean restaurants to serve it for free. So the difficulty about finding good banchan is that many places don't show the banchan they serve on the menu. There's a few exceptions, but if you're not a local, it can be pretty hard to dig up a place with unique specific banchan. So I just want to start my trip in Korea by winging it and go to a place that serves traditional Korean food. So we're gonna try this restaurant that is known for having pretty traditional Korean food. Very curious to give it a try. This is like one of the most beautiful looking meals I've ever seen. The vibrancy of the colors. I think that's something that maybe Korean food is not always known for, but yeah, it's very beautiful. Most restaurants will usually serve you 3 or 5 dishes of banchan, and it'll almost always be an odd number because even numbers are kind of seen as bad luck in Korea. Back in the day, your social status was what determined how many plates of banchan you would get. From 3, 5, or 7 plates, the higher the number indicated a higher status. And if you were a royal or the king, you would get 12 plates of banchan. What's confusing is that not everyone counts kimchi as part of these plates in the numbering system, but kimchi is considered banchan. But another thing is that kimchi is a lot more complicated than most people think. A lot of things can be counted as kimchi, so it's pretty confusing sometimes. So, bulgogi. I love bulgogi. The way that it's marinated, it has like a sweet hint to it. I never know what this is called, but I see this quite often. Banchan is a tradition that's thousands of years old, believed to have developed in Korea from Buddhist influences around the Three Kingdoms era. During this time, meat was banned, or at least very hard to get on the peninsula. Most people only had access to rice and whatever local vegetables they could grow. Rice, like anywhere in East Asia, is a major staple here in Korea. And Korea's 4 seasons are also very dramatically different. It gets very cold here in the winter, and it's now super hot here in the summer. But this has given their crops a lot of seasonal variety. This environment led to these people developing small vegetable dishes mainly to go with their abundant rice. After all, banchan literally means rice food in Korean. Whether if they were peasants or royals, these small vegetable recipes became the foundation of what is now modern Korean cuisine. But eventually the Mongols invaded and conquered this peninsula, and they made meat more accessible. So now there's also a few meat dishes in banchan as well, but the majority of them are still vegetables. Check out this Baskin Robbins. This place is like the fanciest Baskin Robbins I've ever seen in my life. I think think banchan is kind of a hard concept to grasp outside of being a side dish. So to better understand the scope and what counts as banchan, it's usually broken down into 6 main categories, depending on ingredients or preparation style. The most well-known category is, well, kimchi. But kimchi isn't just this. It's actually a term for a wide range of fermented vegetables. This is actually baechu kimchi, a type of kimchi made with cabbage, but there's plenty of other versions that go beyond using cabbage. Another category is namud, which is essentially either steamed or lightly stir-fried vegetable dishes. It's the simplest category and includes just about any edible vegetable, often seasoned with something like sesame, salt, or garlic. This can include anything from bean sprouts, spinach, seaweed, fern sprouts, or so much more. The next category is bokkom, meaning any dish that's sauteed or stir-fried in some sauce. This may include stir-fried beef liver, octopus, fish cakes, or garlic stems. The fourth category is jorim, referring to any dish simmered in a broth or sauce. So that includes beef in soy sauce, mackerel in soy sauce, or a particular favorite of mine, potatoes in soy sauce. Category number 5 is jjim, which is anything that's steamed. It can be tteokbokki, tofu, or steamed eggs. The final category is chon, which is anything that's fried. This would include pachon, or any other kind of fried Korean pancakes, which there are a lot of. So this is a very surface level look at banchan, and you can probably tell that unless you're a local in Korea, it's not always easy to find a very specific banchan dish. But there is one place where you can have a little bit more control over what banchan you can eat. So, believe it or not, this place is conveyor belt banchan. So kind of like how conveyor belt sushi works, this place basically has a series of more common and maybe some not so common banchan dishes that just slide in front of you and you're free to take whatever you want. It's basically kind of like all you can eat. So of course, I took some kimchi. Let's see how the kimchi is here. Very heavily fermented. It's quite sour, which I think some people like that. So I'm a big fan of the egg thing. And if you want this to stop for like a second or two, you just press a button and you're free to take it for like 2 seconds. Yeah, it starts moving really fast. Okay, so Korea, I know, has a lot of protests and demonstrations, but I think I just came across a protest that is supporting MAGA in Korea, and they're chanting like USA, which is kind of trippy.
America! New York! New York! What are they doing today?
President Trump! Help Korea!
Help Korea?
Help Korea!
So I'm at this huge food market in the middle of Seoul, and this stall serves entirely banchan. Honestly, it's all so red, I can't really tell the difference between any of them without signs. But why is Korea so obsessed with these small dishes? Even if banchan is tied to the development of modern Korean cuisine, it's become more than that now, and it's served in almost every meal. This food still carries a lot of cultural nuances in Korea. I want to understand those cultural nuances and what this means to the Korean people. And I think I've narrowed it down to a few reasons. Reason 1, hospitality. The simplest and most obvious reason is that serving banchan at home to guests or at a restaurant is a sign of hospitality, welcoming you with refillable dishes and showing that your host cares about you and you leaving the meal full. But there's an extra nuance behind this. Reason 2, it shows off abundance and wealth. While serving unlimited free banchan on the side is to show your guests that they're welcome, on top of that, it also shows off how well off you are, and how well your harvest was, how good your farmed vegetables taste, how even though the quality of your food is so good, you can just give it away in abundance for free. How you're viewed by others is very important in Korean society. for better or worse. And that adds on to another reason. Korean dining is very communal. So dining alone in Korea in public is not something that's very common here, and in many ways it's looked down upon by some people. And that's because dining in Korea is a very communal activity. You either eat with your friends, your family, your coworkers. It's a very strong symbol of the collectivist society here, and banchan emphasizes that. You don't get your own banchan dishes. You must share it with everyone at the table, and that reflects your unity and respect for those eating with you. The next reason, banchan historically reflects your social status. While this isn't largely the case anymore, historically the amount of plates of banchan you received was an indication of your social class. If you had 3 plates, you were of a lower class. If you had 5 plates, your class was higher. And if you had 12 plates, you were a royal. It's something that we mentioned before, but it was a symbolic way to keep people at their place, which has helped banchan maintain its presence in Korean society throughout history. But the next reason is a bit more simple. Banchan is just healthy. Most banchan dishes are meant to keep a meal nutritionally balanced, especially with meals like Korean barbecue. These small dishes provide extra color, textures, and flavors to a whole meal, and many of them are meant to be very healthy. And this brings us to the final reason. Banchan helps promote Korea and its regional diversity. While South Korea is a relatively small country, it still has regional cuisines. And banchan is an easy way to show off that diversity through serving you regional vegetables or seafood. If you're from Seoul and you go to Busan to eat generic Korean barbecue, you can still get a taste of seasonal Busan flavors through the banchan. And beyond Koreans showing off their regional cuisines to one another, banchan has now become a larger symbol of showing off Korean food to the entire world. Korean restaurants all over are usually expected to serve banchan in some way, and this unique tradition has helped put this small country's food on the map. So, we're at this restaurant in Seoul. It's a very local place, and we're eating one of my favorite Korean dishes of all time, budae-jjigae, and along with some pachon as well, I think it's called. The banchan that they gave us is pretty extraordinary. We've got sausages, eggs, of course kimchi, and seaweed, and this. Not 100% sure what it is. It looks a little bit like edamame, but let's see. It's like sweet and sour and spicy. Oh, wow, that's powerful. But not all places are like this, serving banchan as a side. Because, again, this tradition is much more than that. It's a whole genre of its own food. Some places serve whole course meals of just banchan, and it's called hanjeongsik. And it looks like this. All of these banchan, they're so different. The variety of them is insane, and it's really overwhelming. I mean, it's crazy to me that you can even get Korean glass noodles refillable for free. And they're really good. Wow, very nutty flavor. I don't know what this is. Let's give it a try. Oh, okay. That's not the flavor I was expecting. I was expecting it to be kind of like a nutty goma flavor, but it's something else. Kind of like almost squid-like, but not exactly. A bit mushroomy. That's an interesting flavor, not something that I've had much of. One of my favorite little details about Seoul are the traffic lights on the crosswalks, because the lights are on the ground. Banchan has always been integral to Korean food. From its earliest foundations, it's persevered through invasions, religious influence, and economic struggles. So, if you ever visit Korea or go to any Korean restaurant wherever you are and you get served these small dishes on the side, remember that these aren't just simply side dishes. There is a whole larger background behind this tradition. And also, I think it's an extension to the Korean people and their culture. And I think we're lucky that they're giving it to us for free.